When I'm not uploading makeup tutorials over on Sean Daniel 2, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. How do you come up with riffs? Is it just messing around with notes and a key? Kind of a tough question to answer because I think everybody comes up with riffs in a different way. Everybody's writing is kind of unique. Sometimes you just hear something and then try to recreate that on a guitar. Other times you can use scales and key chords, but for me it all comes down to intervals, and an interval just being a space between two notes, right? And you can use that in a chord or in a scale. So for instance, super famous riff is just all that would be is the interval of a minor third, like an A and a C minor scale. So it's just a minor third, right? And then you can kind of just mix and match intervals. Now, one way that I actually like to write, and one song that I'm kind of working on now, is kind of came from just using chords. So an example of that is like, I started out just kind of like jamming on like a minor 7 chord voicing, right? And then I asked myself, what do I like about this minor 7 chord voicing? And I was really just hearing the root and the 7, right? The flat 7, minor 7, right? And then I kind of just like jammed that out like. So you could think of the same thing as being like in a scale, there's the note, but I came at it from a chord. And then I was like, okay, what's the next chord that I wanted to do? And I had something that was like, oh, okay, like a C sharp major 7. And then again, I asked myself, well, what do I like about that chord? And then I was like, actually, I like the major third, right? Major scale, third. So I started out with a minor 7 to a major third to another major third. And I was just kind of like matching chords. And then I ended up coming with like a minor 7 to a major third to a major third to another chord voicing, right? If you do minor 9, and I'm just kind of like just taking pieces of chords. And to me, that's kind of how I write riffs. But again, everybody is different. So really just kind of like what you said, just mess around in a key. You'll find a way of writing that works for you, and just keep at it. Would you, just hypothetically saying, impregnate my wife? You know, when it comes to impregnating a stranger's wife, I think there are a lot of variables and factors that you have to take into consideration. So I don't feel like I'm able to properly answer that question without a few follow-up questions to come. What is your favorite bassist? For me, it's Flea. I mean, you can't go wrong picking Flea. Flea is definitely one of the legends, probably the most influential bass player of all time, possibly. But for me, I'm going to go with Colin Greenwood from Radiohead. I can vividly remember the first time I heard Airbag, the opening track off OK Computer, and the bass line just hits you so hard, and it is so good, and it's unpredictable. It just kind of comes in and out. Definitely listen to that song if you've never heard Airbag before. One of my all-time favorite songs. But really, the guy can kind of do any style. He can kind of play like jazzier type stuff. He can lead a song with the bass line. Something like Where I End and You Begin off Hail to the Thief is a good example of that. But yeah, I'm going with Colin Greenwood. Would you recommend including a picture of yourself with the guitar on your Tinder profile? Now this is a very subtle kind of situation right here. So a Tinder profile is like an online dating thing or whatever. I think definitely you want to include a guitar picture because it's very helpful, but there's a fine line between having like a super lame guitar picture and just kind of like a cool casual guitar picture. I would suggest maybe trying to get a friend to stage a picture where you pretend like you don't know it's being taken, you know, something like that, right? And then you just got a hold of the picture and you're like, I might as well put it up. I would recommend against really focusing in on the guitar too much. One picture I've seen a lot are guys that kind of like are like really like hugging their guitars, kind of like looking super serious. The only way you can make that worse is just by like going the requisite sunglasses, like trying to look like super cool. I think that stuff is like really lame and it shows through in Tinder. Just try to be relaxed, something casual. It can only help. How old are you? When you started and how long have you been playing guitar? So I am 33 years young at the moment, and I started playing guitar when I was 17 years old, senior in high school, and I kind of feel like I hit it pretty hard my first year, and then I kind of like scaled it back a little bit, and then probably my junior year of college, I really kind of like started taking it a little more seriously, and I was practicing a lot. But really, it's never too late to start. It's never too early to start, I don't think. So, you know, age is just a number. Just do what you want to do. 3-part question. Do you like Rammstein? Which Hendrix song did you learn at first? And are you in a band? So first of all, yes, of course I like Rammstein. Rammstein is awesome. But I do have a question for anybody who possibly lives or has lived in Germany, because I took German in high school, so I have like a very rudimentary understanding of the language. And Rammstein was interesting because all their songs were kind of stuff that I was able to learn in the first year of German in high school. So the lyrics in the songs are kind of incredibly simple, which I think is strange. So I would love to hear an actual native-born German's take on Rammstein and their lyrics, because it almost kind of seems like stuff out of a textbook. So please hit me up if you have any kind of insight into that. The first Hendrix song I ever learned, which was the first song I ever learned, was Purple Haze. I learned it poorly, but I think it was actually a really good, challenging song to learn at first, because I was so, like when you suck at guitar, no matter what you're trying to play, it's going to be difficult. So you might as well try to play something somewhat difficult, because it's not going to be really any more frustrating than anything else. But as far as being in a band, I'm currently not in a band. I get kind of picked up as kind of like an emergency free agent for stuff every now and then. But, I'm open to it maybe someday. But for right now, I just like kind of doing production stuff and teaching. So for listening homework this week, I want you to listen to a dude named Richie Kotzen. He is an absolute beast player who does not get enough recognition for being almost kind of like a living legend and an incredible singer. He sounds a little bit like Chris Cornell, but I mean that is like a great, great compliment, because he's like such a good singer. I'm going to link you to a really well-produced, good recording of a live show, and if you're not familiar with it, just watch it all the way through, because it is an awesome example of a three-piece just getting after it and just destroying it live. So definitely check that out, and any questions or comments you have, please hit me up, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Thanks.